If mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. This is a story about a mom who started chiropractic care looking for increased range of motion, but ended up with so much more. At her first re-exam appointment, she said she was so much less anxious and had better emotional regulation. So, as a mom of 4 who tends towards anxiety, I know what a big impact this had on her life, but also the life of her whole family. So I'm excited to share this story and how a chiropractor in Maine really pours into and invests into pregnant women and their families. I'm Jenna Quinton, founder of Adjust Your Media and host for What Chiropractic Doesn't Cure, Stories of Innate podcast. Today on What Chiropractic Doesn't Cure, Stories of Innate podcast, I have Dr. Katie Gay. Welcome.
Hi there.
So she is a chiropractor in Kittery, Maine. Life Starts Here Chiropractic. Such a cute name. Love that. Tell me first, how did you come up with the name for your office?
I came up with the name because predominantly I see a lot of children and pregnancy. So there was that component of life starting here. But the reality is life really starts when you're connected to your innate intelligence. So that's really where I was going is life starts when we are clear and connected. And that's what chiropractic is all about.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so let's get into a story. What story do you want to tell us today about that very thing, about life starting here?
So I have this mom that I take care of. She started with me. She was 35. She had an 8-month-old baby, and she just literally put on her paperwork that she was walking by. But when she came in, she wrote on her paperwork that she wanted more motion and more movement, less restriction. She's incredibly athletic. She teaches some exercise classes locally, and that's great. That was her motivating factor for sure. But as soon as we talked to her about what chiropractic was and how it worked, she definitely was open to the concepts of, we get adjusted so that we can be healthy and strong. And her whole family started care. So fast forward at about the 8 or 9 week mark, we did her first re-exam. And that's really where she noticed the changes. So on her first re-exam, she was talking about the biggest thing that she noticed was she was substantially less anxious. And then she noticed that she was no longer really overthinking everything. And she said that she was, in general, a self-professed, very anxious, very like wondering all the time what's going on. And those were the biggest things that she noticed. But like with all things in chiropractic, a lot of times people don't tell us everything that's going on with them at the time. They think, that's irrelevant. So as we kind of dug a little further into things that she had noticed over that period of time, she noticed that she was sleeping substantially better and deeper, which obviously makes you more rested and able to chase your babies around and work out and do all the things you need to do as a mom. She noticed that she was having regular bowel movements, which a lot of time people don't talk about or mention at all, and is definitely going on, especially in our mom population. So I felt like those were really big changes for her. And then the other day, getting ready for talking to you, I had just kind of done a little recap, just asked her, how are things going? And what's really fun to watch is she still said she feels a lot less anxious. She doesn't have like dips in mood. She said, it would always feel kind of like this before. So she said she feels more control over her emotions, and all those things are amazing. I love it. But what I love to really watch is she has become super, super tuned into her innate. And that's really what it's all about. So when we can get people to kind of listen to that intuition and actually then act on, the first step is I'm excited when people listen to their innate. But the second is they act on it and actually do, like, my gut told me this, or, I've had this feeling I should do this. That's really where the miracles happen, because we're so in this overstimulated society of, go this way, or somebody said I should do this, or whatever it is. But when we really get clear and really listen, that's the beautiful thing. So it's been awesome to watch her transition, and she's literally thriving, and so is her whole family. But
Yeah, that is so cool because you painted the whole picture that she was already health conscious. And so then taking that next step of not just being conscious, but being tuned in, like you said. And I love the connection of, I know, when my digestive health suffers, my mental health suffers. When my mental health suffers, my digestive health suffers. That whole thing of, are you constipated? What are you holding on to? That whole health picture. And it wasn't, okay, you need to take Miralax so that you can fix this one thing, right? And not that we hate on medications. We're grateful that we can use them when we need to. But do we have the big picture? Like you said, we could just attack the anxiety, or just attack the range of motion that she wanted as an active person and as a mom in her 30s. But the whole picture is so much bigger. And I love that you shared that. Do you often have people come in looking for specific help with a condition or range of motion? What brings people in to see you?
I would say it's kind of twofold. So a lot of my new patients come pregnant. So they're coming either because their doulas or their midwives have told them that chiropractic's good for them throughout their pregnancy, or they're coming with a pregnancy related ache or pain. So there's that one. And then for my postpartum moms, yeah, they're either motivated by a symptom or they've been referred by someone who's saying, you should really do this. This will make a profound impact in your life. In general, society is motivated by symptoms. And like you said, there's a time and place for medicine, and that's great in a crisis. But when we
Yeah.
overuse it all of the time, that's not a crisis, and we shouldn't be stuck in this crisis state.
Yeah. And realizing it probably isn't going to fix all of the other chain reaction things that you were actually needing to take care of in your nervous system. So we've kind of talked about it, but I wanted you communicate so clearly that I wanted to ask you, what do you think really sets chiropractic apart? Especially for health-minded people who have done different things. What sets chiropractic apart?
I think it's that, as far as I know, we're the only ones who truly honor and believe that the best doctor is inside of you. I mean, I tell every single new patient that, whether that they're a baby or an adult, the best doctor's inside of you. My job is just to truly get you connected to that so that you can express everything that you are supposed to be. We're not chasing a symptom, or we're not, going after your toe if your toe hurts. And that's why so many people notice all these changes. I used to not love re-exam day when I was early in practice. But now I love re-exam day because that's where people are like, but all these things have changed since I've been here. Yeah, because your body's healing and it's thriving and it's working the way that it was designed to work. If you have your parts and pieces, God did design you to be well. We just have to make sure that all those parts and pieces are communicating the way they're supposed to.
Yeah, I love that because I was just talking to somebody and we were saying, if you have a medication and you just swap it for a supplement, or if you just switch out a therapy or a treatment, and that can bring you steps towards holistic health. But like you said, the best doctor is within us. Even people who say, oh, we pray that the doctors would heal them. And it's like, doctors can't heal anybody. And it's a big paradigm shift that I think you do a great job of educating people on. What are some ways that you like to educate people?
I like to educate people. Well, I like to use people's stories. I really like to get our patients empowered and excited about their own healing journey so that they share them. So after their re-exams, they might do like a little board and we'll share that on social media and they'll tell their stories, or we'll do videos, because I think that societally, I mean, I am that way as a consumer. I read reviews and listen to people's stories, and oh, Jenna went to this person and they said they're amazing, right? So I like to hear from other people too. So I try to kind of get our people to be the voice, tell their stories.
Yeah. And there's nothing so intriguing as a transformation. I don't plan to do anything different with my hair right now, but I have watched so many hair transformations before and afters that Facebook thinks that I'm ready to just like shave half of my head and dye it purple because it shows me all of these transformations. And it's just because we do. We love that. We love the story of someone who is struggling with something and finds a way through, finds healing, finds hope, finds answers. And we love a good before and after. So I love that you use people's own words. That's really good. So with that, I was thinking about some of the struggles and obstacles that I've come up with in conversations with people. What would you say to a mom who is really nervous about chiropractic? Like maybe she likes her supplements and her essential oils and things, but she's like, chiropractic, like, I don't know. What do you say?
So a lot of times we'll talk about with everyone, because a lot of times parents will be really nervous for their kids too, right? So we'll talk about the concepts of, it's not necessarily something that you've seen on YouTube or TikTok. It doesn't have to be these big crazy emotions. It doesn't have to be wild and crazy. You don't have to hear it. You don't have to feel it. There's tons of different techniques that we can use. And then also, we're never going to blindly go into it. I mean, we're going to do an exam and we're going to do scans. And if you're not pregnant, we're going to take x-rays and we're going to figure out exactly what's going on. And then there is the concept of, just like a baby, the pressure can be as light as, checking an avocado for ripeness or
Mm.
ripeness. So we really do try to tailor care to every single person and where they are, because that's the beauty of chiropractic is chiropractic always works. Sometimes we just have to change the technique or match your comfort level to see where you are. And sometimes they change too. Then eventually they're like, I want to feel it now, or I want to hear it now, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. I think that that is so good because I saw something a fitness guru was talking about, or maybe it was a natural health, I don't know. But they were saying sometimes our nervous system isn't ready for an aggressive workout. We're not ready for a high intensity. We've just got too much cortisol and we're too revved up for that much input. And so I love it that, like you said, chiropractic doesn't have to be a high intensity workout level. It can be so gentle and soothing to make that nervous system feel safe. The times when I just, for no good reason, really feel like I'm in that fight or flight freeze. Freeze is my favorite, don't know why, but where it's like I need to feel safe enough to calm down. And I love it that you as a chiropractor provide that warm, friendly environment, that gentle adjustment that tells their nervous system, their innate, their logic mind, we're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Because that's the best place to start healing.
That's exactly it. And so many people are stuck in that. It's true. Freeze. I mean, we forget about that part, but flight, fight, or freeze, right? And we're stuck there and we're constantly like being chased. And it's become this societal norm and almost accepted. Like you're not, doing it right if you're not go, 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 go. And but that's not where we need to be. And that's not where we thrive.
Yeah, and it's not where we adapt. I think about when my margin of tolerance is so small where it's like I can't adapt to a single thing going wrong, or I can't adapt enough to be like, oh, we need groceries. I should get groceries today or tomorrow. Then it becomes the end of the world where I'm like, I have to get groceries.
Which is
Um,
funny when you put it like that. That is why so many people will ask, how do you see so many changes with things like mood regulation or even with kids with regulation? And that's really it, right? Because how much more can you take on when you're already here? Like, of course you're going to have a temper tantrum or a breakdown or whatever the case may be, because you're
mhm.
already just so overstimulated at that point.
Yeah, and going back to your story, I think about a mom in her 30s. We're already tired, and then you add in a little bit of like that baby not quite sleeping, still nursing through the night, starting to crawl, and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to put all my stuff away. Like the floors are not clean. Whatever number of baby you're on, my floors were maybe clean for my first baby, but that stress level just hits the roof. And that's one thing that I would love for everybody with emotional regulation issues to experience is what it feels like to have a regulated nervous system that goes, I didn't sleep very much, but I'm going to be okay. Or then is calm enough to say, I got a great night's sleep. And to see, like, what does this do? How many of my own family tensions would be resolved if I was a little bit more able to adapt?
That's what it's all about right there. Adapt to our surroundings. It makes life a lot easier.
Yeah. Well, one other thing that you do that I just really love is your events.
Yeah.
And so you do mommy mixers, you do bellies to babies. Tell us about your events.
Yeah. So my office is really close to a Navy shipyard base, and it's not a big one like Hawaii or any of those. So one of the Navy families I took care of at the time said they were having a hard time getting to know other moms. And I was like, oh, I have a lot of moms. I could do this. So we started doing a monthly mommy mixer, and it's the second Tuesday of the month. It's always a different theme, but it's no pressure. You can make it this week and not make it next month because it's your son's birthday or whatever the case may be. So people just show up and they've built really awesome relationships. People go to the kids go to their birthday parties together. It's been really, really fun to watch grow. And everyone, especially, post COVID years, they're searching for community. And a lot of moms don't have connection and community and friends. So it's really helped to build that, which is awesome. Then our Bellies to Babies group is led by one of my doulas, and she's fantastic. And so we started that one as being a pregnancy group, and that was great. But then the moms bonded so much during pregnancy that they continued to want to stay in each other's lives. So it became a pregnancy to postpartum group. So it's usually babies to crawling, but honestly, now some of those babies are a little bigger too. So they just kind of stuck in each other's lives. And so there's always new pregnant moms coming in, which is great because then they can have their questions answered. They can
Yeah.
There's a lot of knowledge in that group. And then I have my doula who runs it, and she's fantastic. So they'll answer a lot of questions, but then they'll just bond and be in the same place with the same people, which is so important. The seasons of your life, it's really important to have people who are going through that same stuff with you.
Yeah. And that's so beautiful because as you invest into their lives, you're not educating in this really hardcore, read this manual. You're just living life and filling the needs where you see them to bring that connection. And also, it's a great way to showcase the culture that you have in your office because there's so many times when we're not sure, like, okay, what is this situation? What is this appointment going to be like? And we want to know, what does it look like? What do they stand for? It's not like we necessarily interview a hairstylist. What are your core values?
Yeah.
But we want to know, like, who am I spending time and money with? And for your community to see that you invest in moms and babies at this really important time is just beautiful. And then, yes, there are so many seasons of motherhood where it's just like, I don't even know who to ask this. You know, a mom was asking me, like, her son was biting at daycare. And it's like, who do you ask that question
And not feel judged and
and
not,
not feel judged? You know, like those important questions where you just need somebody to say, oh man, that's hard. And even if you don't have, like, is there practical good advice ever, but where you can just say, man, that's hard and I feel you and it is a season and you will survive.
very true. Very, very true.
So, with all of that, you mentioned, and I like to ask chiropractors, you mentioned innate intelligence a little bit. So, I would love to hear how you define innate intelligence. What is this doctor within us?
So I define it really as that wisdom inside of us. So we all came from sperm and egg at one point, and truth be told, no one really had to intervene much after that happened, right? So your body has this wisdom, this ability to take two cells and grow your fingernails on your fingers and your eyelashes on your eyelashes, and continue on. And I think for society, what tends to happen is if you watch a baby innately, they'll do all the things. A lot of times they'll sleep on their stomach with their butt up in the air, and they'll turn their head, right? And but then we're taught, oh, well, don't do it that way, or don't do this. And then as we're kids, we'll, fall down a bunch of times or whatever it is. But then we're, oh, don't do that, be careful. So we kind of like educatedly push that aside because innate is always working. It's always controlling absolutely everything that we have going on in our body. And it's helping us to adapt, and it's helping us to grow. And whether that's reproduce or replicate or adapt or survive or thrive, it's there all of the time. So we just have to make sure that it's 100% on all of the time, or as close to.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. Well, I'm going to put the links to where we can find you in the show notes because I want people to be able to see what you're doing with the mommy mixers and babies to bellies, bellies to babies. Woo! Like, maybe the babies are on their belly, probably at some point. Yeah, but I love this story and I love what you're doing. And I'm just so grateful that you serve this community the way that you do, not just with saying, like, oh, yeah, we're going to get you adjusted for 6 weeks, but you really invest into people's lives.
Most definitely. These are our people. I mean, if you become a patient of mine, you become family. I'm very invested at that point.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you for sharing today, and we will see you soon.
Thank you so much, Jenna.